Hello, this is Jamie Shaw. I'm a senior CAD support specialist at the Illinois Department of Transportation, and today we're going to be talking cross sections. So I went ahead and created a brand new drawing called crosssections.dgn. Make sure I use the 2D V8C file, and then I'm going to go to my reference tools, my home tab, home attach, and I'm going to reference in. This time I'm going to use my container file. So I've got a corridors and I've got a I-72 master model. So I'm going to hit OK on it. And it's going to bring me to this dialog box. I want to make sure I'm set to coincident world. And I want to set my nesting depth to 3. And then I'm going to hit OK. Give it a minute for it to connect. And if I do a zoom extents, I see everything in there. One thing I forgot to do was set a coordinate system, which you can go ahead and do. This is Illinois 83, 2011 West adjustment. So go ahead and set that. No big deal. And then I can probably turn off my 3D model, which the 3D model will be on in the reference. So I can go to the eastbound and all right, so we'll click on the reference I-72 master model DGN default 3D. I'll pick the eastbound corridor, turn it off. Westbound corridor, turn it off. We can come back and look at it. Yeah, see it's all turned off. Now we want to set our train model as active train model. So we want to set it. Now to cut cross sections, you have to have a 3D model. It doesn't have to be active, but you have to have a 3D model. So as soon as we set the train model to active, come back up into references, and if I pick the cross section, you see now I have a cross section default 3D model. So to open that 3D model, we're going to do a right click and hold, go to view control, go to views, plan in 3D. Do a fit view on each one of those. And you can see I've got my 3D model in my, well, actually it switches. We may have to make view 1 the default 3D because it was causing problems being the default model. So we kind of flipped the two. View 2 is now default. View 1 is the default 3D. So now you see I'm missing my alignment, my mainline alignment. So if I go back to my references and look at my mainline alignment, my master model doesn't look like it's in there. So why it's not in my master model, I don't know. That's fine. We can just go ahead and reference it in. So we'll go under geometrics and we'll grab existing I-72 alignment, hit OK. We don't need any live nesting or anything on this, so just set that to no live nesting, hit OK, and there's our I-72 alignment. So next thing we wanted to do is cut cross sections. You can see that alignment in there. So we want to go to our drawing production tab, go place name boundary, and we're going to find civil cross sections. Let's set our drawing seed to cross section landscape. Leave our scale 1 to 10. And come in and pick our center line alignment. See that 1 to 10 gives me 150 each side, so I'm picking up my ditch and my slope and everything on my road. So I can either come in and pick 110 as my starting point, and drag it all the way down to 145. Or you can physically type it in and say it didn't completely grab 145. So I'm going to type 5 plus 00. Enter. Check box in there to lock that one in too. And then I want to create my drawing. So with the rest of the stuff, left offset 150, right offset 150, those all should be correct. You shouldn't have to change anything. We want our create drawing on. And then we'll left click. You see it puts the shapes in your 3D model and then opens your create drawing dialog box. We want to make sure this scale 1 to 10 matches this scale, and then we're going to set our annotation group to excess grid annotations 10 of 5. So then we're going to sit and wait for it to create cross sections. So a little bit about the cross sections. Once it creates all the cross sections, it's going to label them. It's going to sheet them. So 95% of your cross section work is going to be done for you. Now, if you want, we set the annotation group to label most points called out in the BDE manual. If there's certain labels you want to do, I've got videos and stuff on how to make different annotation groups. Before you just create an annotation group and throw it to the district, verify with the district that they're okay with you making another annotation group and you changing some of the things in the annotation group that you want to label. Just don't willy-nilly do it. So that's my very last one, which I didn't really have any data there, so I don't really have to keep that sheet. If I jump back to 144, see I've got that side of the cross section, that side of the cross section. I didn't do a ditch in there, so it's just hitting the existing ground in there. So let's go back to about 128. That's about where the bridge is, maybe closer than that. See, it's starting to pick up a ditch on each side. I should really push this in the middle to pick up one ditch all the way through. I could probably force it to do that. I'm not going to show you how to do that in this video. I mean, that can be another video sometime. But you can force it to go into one ditch. The way I built these corridors and everything, I built eastbound, westbound, so that's why there's a ditch on each side. We're on an interstate, so it's easier to work with eastbound, westbound. Plus, that's how they're going to build it, eastbound, westbound. You can kind of see I'm getting to the bridge area, so I'm not hitting existing ground. So, but if you notice, everything's labeled. The width of the ditch, existing elevation, existing center line. If you want existing in here as well for your cross sections, then you need to cut existing cross sections and come in and reference it into this container file, and then you'll have existing in here too. Same goes with existing typical sections. If you want to show your existing in there, then you're going to have to cut existing typical sections. Let's go 25. I think right in here is where the bridge is, 125.50. So let's look at 25.50. Yeah, there's nothing on here, so that's about where the bridge is. I don't know if I had the bridge in there or not. I didn't pay no attention. So easy way to navigate for your cross sections is here. You can scroll to any cross-section sheet or cross-section view. See, there's some goofy stuff going on. It's not picking up cross-section. Oh, that's at the beginning of the job 110. So it's, if you go back and look at the master model, the multi-model view, you see I said start at 110. There's not really anything going on right there. And then I said end at 145. So that cross-section right there, there's no, I mean, there's a train model there, but there's no line work or anything there. So it's not going to pick up and draw anything there. It's going to stop where it's going to cut a section where you tell it to, but it's not going to pick up data if there's no data there. So right through the bridge, you know, what is that? 125 plus 0, 0. So if I just went and looked at 125 plus 0, 0, I probably don't have anything there. Why it's not picking up the bridge, I'm not sure. But it should. 125 plus 0, 0. Yeah, see, it didn't pick it up. Now let's try it. Let's undo all this. And let's try it a different way and see what happens. So I'm going to hit undo all. Think about it for a minute. It's should undo everything I've done. I'm going to pause for a second while it's chugging and going back, and then I'll come back to you as soon as it's done. All right, I'm back. Everything's undone. You see I have no models in here. If I go to drawing production, go to name boundaries, I have no name boundaries in here. And if I go home and look at my references, I have no references in here. I just hit undo, took my hands off of it, and let it roll all the way back to the very beginning. Because I want to do this without the container file this time. So first off, I'm going to start with survey. I'm going to pick the Massey Lane survey. Attach that, which I don't need nesting depth of 3 on that. So it come in as no nesting because I didn't have any nesting set. So we can continue on. Next, we want our center line alignment. So we'll go to geometrics, existing center line alignment, hit add. Then we'll come in and do eastbound and westbound corridor. So go into the corridors file. I'll do eastbound I-72 and I'll do westbound I-72 by holding the control. Then I can pick both of them, or I can add each. Well, I'm in project wise, so I could hit add and add both of them here. I need to tell each one of them okay. And if I look at it, see I've got everything included. I don't have live nesting set on anything, so let's see. Let's go ahead and close the reference dialog box. Again, I forgot to set my coordinates, which is no big deal. We haven't really done anything except reference those in, so we'll hit OK. Now we have a coordinate system set. Now same thing as before, we want to come in and set our alignment, or I mean our terrain model to active. So now we can go back, and you see it turned everything on. So now we can go back to our references and turn off default 3D. I'm going to do a right click and view control, two views plan in 3D, do a fit view on each one of them. That's why I didn't pick up my bridge. So my corridors, I need to come in and make them active because they have everything in them. They have the bridge reference into them, everything. So I'm going to turn them on. I may have to go to the 3D view and do the same thing. Default 3D eastbound corridor, turn on live nesting. Westbound corridor, turn on live nesting. So now I have my bridges in there, but this white lines is something I don't want to talk about. So we can just turn them on. They're 604s. Make sure this view's active. We'll do level off. Just turn those off. And now we want to come back to drawing production, place name boundary. Doesn't matter if you've already run cross sections and you come back and it's already populated. Get in the habit of picking your workflow, picking your seed, picking your alignment. So it's I-72. This time we'll just type in 110 plus 00. And then we'll type in 145 plus 00. Left and right offsets okay. Check create drawing and show dialog box. And let's come over and view 2 and left click. 3 left clicks to get the create drawing dialog box. I'll come in and set my annotation group to existing grid with annotations 10 and 5. And then we'll select OK. Make sure 1 and 10 and 1 and 10 match. Hit OK. It's going to go through and create our cross sections again. We'll see if I picked up the bridge this time. And you can do it either way. Doesn't matter. You're going to need to make sure your 3D bridge is turned on everywhere so it picks it up in the cross sections. And another thing, if you say you have a culvert in here, which I do have a culvert, but I don't have it referenced in. I have an existing culvert runs across right here. If I referenced in my drainage and I wanted to cut a section at that culvert, or I had driveways or whatever, I would use the cross section by 2 point, which is this one right here. And I would do all my 2 point cross sections before I actually cut cross sections. Now, cross section sheets are decoupled, so what that means is I can go in after I've cut my cross sections and delete all my sheets, and then come back and add a 2 point cross section where I need it, and then rerun my sheets, and it'll put it in a Word. But it's just easier if you go in and do all your 2 point cross sections before you actually cut sheets, and you don't have to mess with the decoupled cross sections or anything like that. So let's go to 125, see if it picked up my bridge or not. So that's view 125. See, it picked up my bridge this time. I go to sheet 125 plus 00. There's my bridge. Go to 124 plus 50. 124. See my bridge in there. So where existing's hitting my bridge. So here I'm over above my bridge a little bit. So, or my existing drop down because I'm up higher. My roadway's up higher. I can go to the sheet views. Another cool thing I can do, since I have actually cut cross sections now, if I have some labeling and stuff to do, additional labeling, I can come in and go cross section navigator. I have to be in the multi-model view. So come back and hit cross section navigator. I'm going to pick my alignment, and it wants me to select and open a view. So I'll pick view 8, left, then I have to go through the command again. Pick the alignment, left click, and view 8. Now, this view, I can maximize it. I get a dialog box here, so I can navigate. So I could center that cross section right there. I can come in and turn on, get my civil labeler and do additional labeling, whatever I need to do. Then if I want to advance to the next cross section, you see it moved to 110.50. It tells you right here. If I want to just hit the pull down and jump to 118, I can jump to that 118 cross section. If I want to jump, if I was zoomed in and I wanted to go to the next section, it's going to hold that zoom right there. As soon as I hit recenter, it's going to recenter it. So that's a big thing that they add in. I thought it was pretty cool. So that's pretty much how you cut cross sections. I'm not going to show you the 2 point. Experiment with it. yourself. If you can't figure it out, let me know and I'll help you. So thanks for hanging out with me. This is how you cut cross sections, and I will see you all later.